All right, welcome everybody. We're going to get started in about a minute, okay? About 1 minute. All right, and we are live. So welcome to this week's Stock Analysis Friday. My name is Bennett McDowell with TradersCoach.com. And before we get started, I just want to wish everybody a very happy Labor Day. So a long 3-day weekend, and markets are up a little bit today. So we'll take a look when we open up here a little bit in the Dow and see how that's doing. Kind of retrace back to where we thought it would. And so now it's kind of at a critical time. Let's see if it bounces back to the upside or continues down. I think it should bounce back to the upside for a while. So we'll take a look at that chart in just a moment. All right, so let me go through some administrational items and then let's get going. All right, so first thing I have to talk about, of course, are the risks involved in trading. Like I always say, without those risks, there are no opportunities. So the two really go hand in hand, but we do want you to be aware of the risks, and it is possible to lose some or all your money trading the financial markets. That's why we're a big believer in risk control, and also too a big believer in getting with your financial advisor and running any of the stock opportunities we see today past them just to make sure they're suitable for you. They know your personal situation, of course, and we do not. So that's always a good idea to do that. And if you need help with risk control, I have got a great new book on the far right-hand side called a Money Management for Traders book. Very inexpensive book, available in a variety of different formats. It can really get you squared away with risk control on each and every trade. So if you're having trouble with that, that's the book for you. It'll teach you how to calculate your trade size, look at risk and reward on each trade and so forth. And then if you want a more deeper dive into risk control, of course, I've got my book on the far left, which is the white colored book called A Trader's Money Management System. So that's available for you as well. And then The Art of Trading, Survival Guide for Traders, and Elliott Wave Techniques Simplified are my other books. And we're coming out with a new edition of The Art of Trading in the spring of 2023. And we're working, of course, with Wiley Trading, who is a big publisher in the trading industry. So those are pretty exciting things out there for you right now. In addition, I have a variety of different software tools that pretty much cover the gambit of what you need in order to be successful in this business. We've got charting software, we've got scanners, and we've got risk control software. So they all work together to really round out and give you the ultimate trading system. So if you want to learn more about that, of course, come to our website. And then finally, like, share, and subscribe. If you're here watching the recording or you're live, share this with other people, because the more people we get to come here, the more stocks we can look up. And as a group, the more opportunities we can find. So that's the whole purpose behind doing this, is to really kind of almost make this like a live stock opportunity or stock picking service. So definitely keep that in mind. And I do want to thank everybody for being here. All right, let me dive in and take a quick look at the Dow real quick before we get going. And on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, okay, we have a variety of things going on here. We've got a situation here where we had a big move to the downside, and now we're getting a move back up. So that move back up, okay, let's see if it sustains itself. We think probably at this particular point here that we have kind of been in a situation where we've been in an ABC longer term correction, and we kind of think that is coming to an end in terms of B wave, but we have one more high left in B wave. We also think we're going to go down quite a bit further. The other market I wanted to take a look at is GBTC real quickly here, and take a look and see what that's doing. On GBTC, we've come down a significant amount already, but unfortunately, it hasn't turned around yet. And this is an area where you should have been out a long time ago. Hopefully you're not still holding on to this. If you are, I guess you would be considered a long-term investor in Bitcoin. But at least some things are starting to turn around that look a little bit on the bullish side. One of the things is that we have an indicator here in the middle called the PTF, and this is really a kind of a cool indicator. And the reason I developed this is simply because there were a lot of times when markets bottomed or even topped. And this indicator gives me a clue if it indeed, from a probability standpoint, has done that. And so when it's yellow, it basically is neutral, saying we could get a rebound from here. And I want you to take a look at this chart. On the far left, we got the 60-minute chart here. This is the daily chart, and this is the weekly chart here. So it's all of the same market, which is GBTC. But notice here, we no longer have a red PTF. So that's very interesting, because we've had that for quite some time back, even into July. So that's kind of a good sign. If that was red, then we'd have more lows coming. So maybe we're getting into a little bit of a bottoming configuration here. Notice this is kind of going sideways too. So is GBTC a great investment? I don't know. Okay. I'm a momentum trader. So I trade the technicals, I trade the trends. Right now, it has the trend is technically not reversed. And if you look at our software here, they've had you short the entire time down, and your stop would be right here. So in that case here, we're kind of technically still would be short this market, but it is getting near a bottom perhaps. So let's see what happens with that. But I would not be buying into this now. All right, we'll look at it every week, and if we see an opportunity, hey, we'll take a look at it. The next one I wanted to take a look at was silver. So let me type that one in here. All right, and silver is one of these markets that was highly recommended by a lot of people back in the spring, when prices were anywhere from $23 to $26 at that point. So it's kind of interesting if they had really looked at the charts and used technical analysis with our software, it would not have been a buy back then. And in fact, it was actually trending down, and it's not done yet. All right, it's still moving down. It's at $16.81. So if you bought it in the 20s, you've already gone down about 50%. So I don't see how that could be a good investment. Even if it's long term, you could have timed this a lot better, right? So in a case like this, you know, we still have a red, here's this red PTF, all right, and the owl up here, which stands for the optimum wave locator, takes a look at the momentum and even the Elliott wave in this. So we're still kind of in a big move to the downside on silver. So I don't see any buying opportunities today. And I don't think we're going to have any probably over the next week or so, but we're going to look at it every week because eventually it will be. And when it is, we don't want to miss it, right? But you know, it's amazing. People will buy into things without really doing much work in terms of looking at how things are doing technical wise. All right, so here's gold. Here's another one I wanted to look at. Again, people tend to go into gold when the markets are coming down, but gold has been coming down. Kind of interesting, right? So, you know, here's a situation once again where if you're thinking about going into gold, our software would have said, no, do not go, okay? And look, we still got red here. You do have, I don't know if you can see that at home, you have a sliver now of yellow in the PTF on the daily chart, which is that chart in the center. I'll open that up for you. But as you can see there, all right, that's at least a little better, but it's still red on the 60-minute chart, so it's not done yet. All right, it's still going down. So I don't want to issue a buy on this yet, but eventually it probably will be a good buy, especially since if you look at the weekly chart on my far right-hand side here, notice that we have a green PTF here. So eventually after this correction ends, we should return back to the upside. So we'll keep an eye on that. Of course, the PTF can change at any time, but for right now, it's showing long-term, we should make new highs. Short-term, we're still coming down. All right, so I just want to cover those markets because those tend to be kind of things that people like to cover. All right, let me take a look here in the comments. Give me 1 second. All right, John, how are you? All right, let's see, we got here. Eleanor's here today too. Key is asking about leaps on NVIDIA. Let's take a look at that. So that's NVDA. And they, of course, are in the technology area making video cards. All right, let's take a look and see how this bad boy is. All right, so in terms of leaps at this particular point, leaps are long-term options. So you buy leaps really if you want to invest in it or you feel there's going to be a long-term trend. And if you look at the weekly chart on the far right, okay, we have a green PTF. So we should eventually have a return, and we've kind of got this target range up here. We could buy, we need to redraw this a little bit simply because it looks to me like maybe it's come down a little bit. So it looks like it's making a new low here. So it's reached a little bit lower. All right, so that's going to adjust the target zone, but the PTF has not changed. So the PTF is still calling for highs around 350, right, on this. And where are we now? 139.19. Now, obviously, we got a red PTF on the 60-minute key, and then we have red owls on pretty much all the time frames. So if you were to go in here to buy a leap, you probably could buy it later on because we're still coming down. If you're already in it, then I would not, if you have a leap, you just hold on to it at this particular point because it should return and make a new high. All right. If you bought in here, okay, you'd be stopped out. All right. So that's how that kind of works. But the nice thing about an option is as long as you use risk control when you purchase the option, then the most you can lose if the option expires worthless is the amount you paid for the option. And if you keep that payment around 2%, then that's the most you're going to lose. So you can actually afford to keep it, even though somebody buying the underlying asset would have been stopped out. So the options have some benefits to it, obviously. Now, one of the things I will tell you when you buy options, if you can get them while, if for a bullish option, in other words, a call, all right, if you want to buy a call, you can get a better price when the market has pulled back a little bit, all right, because that sentiment is not bullish, it's bearish. And so therefore the pricing of the option will be cheaper. So that's an idea to keep in mind. But in case like this, I would wait for that 60-minute chart to turn around before considering going into this, obviously. Okay, so at this particular point, long-term bullish, short-term bearish. So I don't know if I answered your question, but there you have it. So I guess I like leaps, but if I wasn't in one now, I'd probably wait a little bit longer. Let that 60-minute chart kind of just turn a little bit, and I think that might be a good time to go in. All right, so let's keep going. John wants to take a look at CR. Okay, and is that CRK you want to look at? CRK on STLD all along. Okay. All right. So we'll take a look at that, CRK and STLD. All right. So let's see if he should be long on this. All right. Now, if you're long, you want to have your stop here. Okay. Have it right there. If you haven't been in this yet, I would hold off because it looks like the 60-minute chart's coming down. So that's kind of where I would be on that. It looks also too like we no longer have a green PTF on the long-term time frame. So the danger is we may be coming down. Okay, we may be at a wave 3 top for the Elliott wave people, and we may be going into a wave 4. But I would put your stop here, see if we break above here. If not, this will get you out in time, so you don't travel it all the way down, so to speak. Let's take a look at STLD. See how that baby's working. All right, so it's interesting here. We had a area up here that we were looking for a target before when we looked at this. We hit it, okay? And so now in the 60-minute time frame, it's coming down. So it's still coming down at this particular point. What you do have a top here, and again, this could be another situation where you could be in a correction. And I kind of think it looks like it's almost mimicking a little bit what the Dow did. So if we feel the Dow is in a long-term bear market now, interrupted by areas of bullishness, but technically the trend is down at this particular point, then you have to be careful here. So I think probably, I don't know where you got into this, but your stop would be pretty low on this right here. So right around in here. So if you got in here, the pyramid that we use for stop loss placement is having your stop way down here to allow for volatility. But I guess I would hold it and put that stop here and see if we get one more high before it sells off. But it's not my favorite pattern. I would not go into this now, put it that way. Okay. So that is, those are for you, John. So hopefully that helps you. All right, let's keep moving on down. Okay, Stuart, General Motors. I don't think that's a good morning. I think that's a General Motors. Knowing you, Stuart, I think this is one that you have looked at weekly here. So let's take a look and see what's going on here with this. All right, so here's General Motors. And it's been pretty much, again, in a downtrend. But now it has rebounded. And here's where we thought it was going to go for a target. So it's not quite in the target yet. You still have a bullish momentum here. But look how red this is here. So we're not done coming down. I think we're going to probably correct. Now, if you know me, when I go in early on these first moves up into a corrective area, you know I always keep my stop here. I just keep it there. And the reason for that is I know after a big move up, you're going to get a retracement. So if this is a 3, this would be an A. This could be a B. And then C takes us into the wave 4 target zone. All right. So if you're an Elliott wave person, that's what we're looking at. So you have to keep your stop low to survive the pullback on B wave. Now, if you're using the pyramids like here, and you want to just trade A wave, well, you could have gotten in here, okay, and gotten out here for a small profit. So on how you are going to, your intentions on this trade then become very important, because if your intentions are to just trade A wave, then of course you'll be out already. But if it's to get to the target zone, you would hold that. But you are going to get a pullback because the 60-minute chart still says bearishness. And don't forget, once you reach the target zone, then you have a big bearish wave 5 down. So this move down is not over yet, okay? But what we're trying to do is take advantage of the bullishness into that target zone. So hopefully that helped you. All right, TRIP. Let's see how that's doing. You know, and it's quite amazing actually that we have quite a bit of bullishness, because a lot of these, you know, are ones that we liked earlier. And the nice thing about these is that, you know, even though the market, all right, was selling off for like 2 weeks in a row, our stops way down here allowed for that type of volatility. And so therefore, this is a very similar situation. All right. So, you know, green here, but red here. So we're still coming down, but the overall forecast is for it to get up to this target zone. So 60-minute is saying that this pullback is not done. The daily chart, which is this one, is saying that we should make more highs, which probably will take us then into the estimated wave 4 target zone at that point. Okay, and you have green here. So I'm still liking this for a long position, but again, stop loss placement is everything on these. So hopefully you're still in those and just hanging tough. Okay. All right, Samuel, how are you? All right, SPXU. All right, let's take a look at that bad boy. Give that a second to load. Okay, so here we are here. Let's let that load across all areas. Okay, so the SPXU, okay, has been coming down, and recently, you know, the market has been selling off, and now we've had a day or so where it's kind of rebounded a little bit. So here's where we stand with this. My eyes go right here. Holy camoli. All right. So we eventually should get back up to there. So I would say if the market sells off like we think it's going to, then this is going to go up. Okay. Inverse type of thing. So, you know, I'm saying keep your long position if you're in it, but you're going to be a long-term holder of this. This is not something to reach this target. You're going to be in this for a long time, a good year or so, because we expect the market probably to get down to around, I don't know, 18 to 15,000 sometime in the latter part of 2023. Okay, so if we're right on that, and of course we may not be, but if we're right on that, then this will do very well. Okay, so hopefully that will be okay. And UPRO we looked at last week. Both of these we looked at last week. So let's take a look at this one. All right. So this one, not much change last week, except it's been moving in the direction, okay, of the 60-minute chart, which has been down. Okay, so again, very similar situation. But the only problem with this one is long-term, look at this, it's bearish. So we expect to see something like eventually like that. But now let's put this in perspective too. Let's just go over here. See the big move up? Here's your COVID low, okay? So in a case like this, short-term over here rather, all right, we're still coming down. Intermediate term, after this should come down, we should get one more high according to these indicators. Again, stop should be here if you're going to be long. Now, once we get one more high, then we think that's going to be the completion of that move up, and we should see a big move down, which is why this would be red. So that's kind of how you read them when they're all different colors. Okay, one's ultra short, intermediate, and one is long term. So from that, you can kind of get a read on the market. All right, let's keep moving down here. Tesla, TSLA. Let's see how Tesla's doing these days. All right. So again, looks like we're going to have more lows short term. Okay. And eventually we should, once this correction is finished, we should have more highs. So in a case like this, let's see where this thing is going. Let's open up this chart here. By the way, look at that chart. That is a dream chart, because when you have a consolidating market near a bottom for this long and a breakout, you don't want to go into it when it's in here. You want to wait for the breakout and then take a look at the indicators below to see if they agree with what the pyramids are telling you. So this would be, when I say pyramids, these are these triangles on the chart. So the entry on this could have been here, the stop here. All right, you look down here, momentum is bullish. As long as there's no red here, you're good to go. And of course, that would have been a great trade. Now your stop technically would be right here. And these could be scale out points every time you get a signal in the opposite direction. So let's draw some fibs in on this chart and see where this correction might go. So let's draw them up from here to here. So currently we reached the target zone for this pullback. And if this is a 3, then this could have been an A, B, C possibility. Now, the next thing we got to look at is this. So this is indicating, and I don't know if we're missing data or something in this, but we'll go with this. But this could be a situation where we may not be done with this correction. So you got to be careful. We may be going back down in here and then up. Okay. So you got to keep that in mind. So I would probably hold off a little bit, maybe wait and see what's, let this come down a little bit further into the target zone. So we want to see if this bottom basically is going to hold. So let it pull back and then let's see a reversal. And if you get that reversal, possibly go long. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get a further low on this on the correction. So you need to be a little careful here. So hopefully that helps you. All right, BAC. Let's take a look at Bank of America. And Adam, this is for you. All right. So let's just take a look at the overall big picture here. All right, so we've got to pull back. You know, we had a big move down, obviously. All right, and then now we had to move up, and now we're in a pullback. This is saying here that the pullback is not done. That's what the 60-minute chart's saying. So we're probably getting a rebound. You know, markets don't go straight down. They zigzag. So this will probably, in order to know where this is going to come up to, you just grab your fibs. All right, move it off the first pyramid back here into here, and you're in the target zone for the pullback. But the target zone could be up to 35, and we're at 34. And so, you know, we're here. So now it probably will come down pretty soon and complete the correction. So this is what you're probably seeing at this point. Something like this going to happen. Again, if you bought the breakout and you're trying to get to either a new high here or a fib retracement, you got to be careful here, because now we want to take a look at is what your intentions of the trade were. Were your intentions to get above here or just take it to the corrective area? Probably take it to the corrective area, correct? You have to tell me, okay, on that. So if that's the case, you know, you already hit the target zone and you've got a red owl here. So, you know, you have to be careful here, because if it goes into a sell-off here, you're going to get hurt. Okay, so I would basically have your stop at this particular point, either at the bottom here, but since you hit here, I would have probably gotten out at the target. If you're not out, I'd get here. Okay, because this is all red, so it's going back down. And if it goes back down past this inflection point, it might be going all the way down. So the fact that it hit the target zone for the retracement already is one where you got to be more aggressive on getting out. Okay, hopefully that helped. Okay, that's Bank of America. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, I think the Tesla had a stock split. I think that's correct. All right. So let's see what else is cooking there. All right. The other one to look at, which one did we have last week? Let me just see, because we had a whole bunch last week. Let me just grab a couple. I want to take a look at, I think NNOX was one that we had. So let's take a look at that. Give that a second to load. All right, so here's NNOX. So here's one. Let me just, get this chart large enough so you can see it. So here's one that we had for a long position actually quite a while ago, almost like 3 weeks ago, I think now. And we liked it because basically the target was way up here. All right. So our target on this was way up here, and it was in a retracement area here. So it has not reached the target, but it has pulled back, and we no longer have red down here. We do have an active pyramid here, but we're sitting right in the target. So we should get a bounce. So if this is an A, this is a B. When B ends, we should get up here. So I would not go into it until the momentum on the optimum wave locator turns bullish again. Here too, okay? So it still could come down a little bit, but I think we're getting near some form of a B wave bottom. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But that's kind of where we're at now. We have a pretty strong momentum up here. So I think we're going to go much higher on this one. So if you're long on this, again, because we have not reached the target zone, keep your stop. You can move your stop here. All right, keep it here though. Don't move it any closer for right now. And that's a fairly inexpensive stock. So that's kind of a fun one for everybody. All right, so next one, Kevin, CVE. And that's why I think B wave is not over on the longer weekly chart for the Dows, because so many of these trades to the long side have not reached their higher target zone. Okay, so let's take a look at this bad boy. All right, I'm liking this one. All right, so basically here we have an extended weekly chart. I'm very, very cautious about getting in to a trend after it's so mature like this. All right, plus this is close to going red. So we're probably close to a 3, maybe 4, and then 5. That's the long-term synopsis. This, however, okay, is indicating that probably one more high is possible, more likely than not. So that means wave 3 is not over yet. So maybe a slight pullback in wave 3, and we'll end here when this hits wave 5. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. So 3, 4, 5, 5 waves inside 3 ends 3. Okay. So we'll see how that plays out. Now you have green over here, but red here, green here, green here. Okay. So if you want to be super, super careful on the timing, just wait for this to be green. I think it'll probably go green pretty soon. But again, here, the nice thing is on the daily chart here, you've got a nice pyramid here, but keep that stop. You could put the stop here. Don't put it at the pyramid. It's too close. Don't put it at the pyramid until you start getting into target zones, or at least close. All right. So there's a lot of volatility in the beginning of a breakout. So you want to make sure you don't have your stop too close. But I think this is a good one for a long position. Again, I don't think we're going to go down. I'm going to recommend this one today. Okay. So CVE, I think that is a good one. Let's put that down, CVE, for the best one I've seen today. Simply because I think the correction's over. I think this is a bottom. This is your stop right there. What do you think about that, guys? CVE look good? Of course, things can change, but from a probability standpoint, I'm liking that. So, Kevin, let's give you a good job on that, all right? All right. Whoop, wrong button. I got to hit the $sign button. There you go. All right, Kevin, good job. All right, so let's take a look at PLUG. All right. And Key, this is for you. And Key is long here on this one. And I like it to be long. I think long is okay. Let's try to figure out what's going on with this one. All right, so here's the thing with this one. Now, your target is actually very, very high on this. Okay, and you had a big pull down here. So if this is your target, you're going to be in this for a long time. All right. Now, you do not want to use this pyramid if your target's up here. Keep your stop at the bottom. Just keep it there. All right. You've got everything going your way for the most part. This is still a little red, so you may get a pullback. All right. As you haven't, you had a little bit of trending here, a breakout. So we're due for a pullback. So I think that's what you're getting in there. But I would definitely keep that one for a long position. I think on this one, you have a green PTF also on the 60-minute chart as well. So I'm trying to figure out here, if you were to go in long on this, probably your stop down here would be okay at this point. So 15 bucks, you're at 26, but 75. So you definitely got the risk to reward in your favor. You'll have to calculate the trade size. Stop's pretty far away, so your trade size is going to be lower. But let's put this one down for a long-term buy. Okay, so I like this one long-term. And, you may want to use a leap on this one too. Okay, so I'm kind of liking that. All right, Facebook, FB, you want to look at Facebook? All right, let's take a look at Facebook, FB. I think Gene wants to take a look at that. Okay, so we'll put that in there. We'll see what that one looks like. All right, so Facebook has come down, all right, and it's come down quite a bit, obviously, after a big move up. So not surprising. Question is, what do you do with it now? All right, so in a situation like this, not quite ready for a buy, but notice how here it's starting to do this. That sometimes is what we see near a bottom. This is kind of messy, but you get that on bottoms. So you kind of got to wait for this to break out. What I don't like about this is still very bearish over here in the weekly chart. So I'm afraid what we may have here, all right, is more downside after maybe a brief pull-up. But that brief pull-up, all right, if it goes to 300, can be quite a run here, okay, because we're at 199. So it still may be worth a long trade. But it's not ready to take yet. So the idea behind this is you got to wait for the breakout, and we haven't gotten it yet. So let's put this on just a watch list for now and see what happens with that. All right, and McDonald's, MCD. Gene is saying McDonald's for Brady. Okay, Brady's our son, so he's a big believer in McDonald's. All right, as most teenage kids are, right? All right, so let's see what we got here. Okay, so here's McDonald's. I see a lot of red in the PTFs, so I would not go long on this one. In fact, I think it's setting itself up for a good short position. All right. So at this particular point, do not short it yet because this is green. We're still retracing, but I think it's going to probably get up to about that area for the retracement. That's probably where the fibs would take it. And then it probably should slide back over. So I would wait on this, but I would definitely take this and short this all day long after it turns over. So let's take a look at this actually next week. Let's put this on a watch list for a big short trade sometime in the future. Okay. All right, let's take a look here. BRP. BRP for John. Okay, buy right, candidate for a buy right. Let's take a look at that. All right, let's come on. Load, load, load. All right, so coming down short term. We've had a fairly decent retracement. Whoops, sorry. Fairly decent retracement on that already. Not seeing too much history on that one. So not clear. To me, it's not clear. So here's what I think. I would not bother with this one. I think it's probably, that's your target. You still got a red owl here. So there's enough history on this chart to figure out what's going on. You may get one more high on this, but you can't go yet. So, you know, you're talking, if anything, a 3, 4, 5. And because there's not that much history, and this is messy and this is messy, this is the only chart I like. Okay, this is the only one with clarity. So based on this, when this goes green, see where you are, draw your fibs and get a fib extension. And we'll take a look and see what the risk to reward. So bring this one back next week after this thing changes the owl a little bit. Okay, it might take a week to do that. All right, silver. Frank, we covered silver already, but I'll do that one more time for you. All right, so on silver here, okay, you can still remain short. Okay, we got red PTFs on both the 60 and the daily. All right, so you're still coming down. Now, I do see a possibility of a retracement that's starting to develop here. So don't be surprised and panic if we get a retracement level, I'm going to say, I guess from here to here. So we could get to 17 to 18 before it moves back down again. All right, so kind of just be aware of that. But I think probably, okay, you can hold that short. As soon as those PTFs turn yellow, you got to exit because you're starting to see bullish divergence. Okay, so you're getting close to a bottom, but I think one more bottom. So this is kind of like brain surgery. Okay, you need to have the right tools in order to time this properly. And on this case, the PTF is the right tool for that. So when it goes yellow, out. All right, getting closer to a bottom. All right, so that's silver. All right, key. Let's take a look for ALHC. See how that bad boy is doing. And you are long on this. All right, so. Ooh, okay. All right, so not much history on this one for the long-term situation, but at least you have a green PTF, so that's a good sign. So green, green, all right, on those time frames. So we are going to go higher. Let's take a look and see what we've got cooking on the 60. Not too bad. All right, we've got green here. All right, so the question is, to me, if I was going to take a PTF trade only, there's not enough history for me to really tell you, are we starting a brand new trend and we're going to go above 30? Or are we in a correction and one more high is all we're going to get? That's my problem with this one. All right. And then if you were going to take a PTF trade, your stop would have to be pretty low in order to reach the 2 to 1, right? So since you're long, let me just see, you're long already. Okay. I don't know where you got in, but this is red now. And so even if we had a retracement here, okay, you may go back into that target zone a little bit. So I probably would put my stop either here, if this is going to lock in profit, or below here to allow for a full correction in case it comes down further. Okay, so I'll have to let you manage that trade. I don't know where you got in and so forth, but that's I do think you're going to get more highs, so I think you'll be okay there. The question is how much of a pullback is still out there as a possibility. Okay, so you need to be kind of a little weary on that one. All right, cool. All right, anybody else? Let me just quickly see if we're getting data here. Okay, so we got data on the MES. So I'll keep it on stocks for a little bit here, just for another minute. And if not, we'll head over to the very short day trading timeframes for the futures markets. We can take a look at a couple of those if you'd like. Netflix. Let's take a look at that bad boy. So, Gene, when you put a stock in, type the symbol in. Okay, this would be a good exercise for you to learn how to do, because I know you want to start trading. So you need to be able to look to know what the symbols are. Okay. So, and you always want to type those in caps. Okay. All right. So Netflix we've looked at before, and here we are, and we've got a lot of red on the daily and a lot of red on the weekly, don't we? Okay, so when we look at this here, we may get a little bit of a push up, but I can't go long with those with the red PTF on the daily chart, which is the one in the center. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm looking at that. So yeah, no go on that. All right. We've reached our target after this pullback, but it looks like it's going to go back down again. Let me redraw a possible correction here area. So, you may fill this gap a little bit, but I definitely think more downside. So I don't think I'd want to be long here. More, hopefully I'd be already short a little bit. But that's kind of what I'm thinking on that. Okay. All right. Key is saying thank you. Oh, my pleasure. Okay. I found ALHC, which is the stock we looked at earlier, on my first PTF scan several weeks ago. Good for you. Yeah, the MTF scanner is great for that. All right. What it does is it scans for the signals that we like to look at on all three time frames simultaneously. So it allows you to do a quick scan of kind of what we're doing now. All right. Anything else on stocks? Everybody's ready to go for the weekend, long weekend? Woo-hoo, right? All right. So let me put it on the MES. Oh, do we have a winner? Yes. I think, let me just put up CVE. Thanks, Gene. Okay, CVE. Let's take a look at that one, because that, I think, is our winner today. We got two, actually. CVE looks really good for a position trade based off primarily the daily chart. So we're looking for a target on this between 29.5 roughly to 37.5. So this is our target. This would be a wave 3. I'll draw this in. Wave 4 we think is completed, and now we're in wave 5. So it's going up here. So this would be a bullish trade. Okay, and the stop, I think we talked about putting it right at this ledge here. All right, and let's magnify that a little bit so you can see it better. All right, so I think a stop here is where we want to go. And let's take a look and see, get an exact price on that stop. So that's going to be a low, probably around 1580. So your stop needs to be one tick under that. So we're talking 1579, 15.79. Okay. All right. And that's from Kevin. So good job. So that's the best one today. Now, with that said, we also had another one, PLUG, right? This is another one that we had, but this is long term. Okay. This was one where we're kind of looking at this chart for our overall situation. We're still pulling back a little bit, But because this is a long-term trade, you want to put your stop in here. So I'm really not worried too much about this chart because we're only going to come down a little bit more. So I'm thinking pretty good here for a long trade, but the stop's got to be low because you got to make it all the way up here. You know, if you put your stop here, you know, the pyramids are designed to get a profit on this swing, and it did it. Okay. But on this, we're trying to get way up here. So you don't want to have your stop that close. All right. So PLUG is a long-term winner. Okay. And that's key. Good. Excellent. So those are our 2 winners for today. Good job, guys. All right. Let me put it on the MES. Let's just take a look at the day trading time frames. So we basically do very similar analysis as to what we just did. The only difference is these are futures markets because we like to trade futures. And the time frames are different. So we've got in the center a 1-minute chart. This is a 5-minute. And this is, believe it or not, a 15-second. How's that? Now, what's quite surprising to people is that when they actually start trading this, they think this is going to be really intense and fast. But I can tell you, sometimes I've had to wait half an hour for all 3 time frames to give me a go. So it's not as fast as you think, and it's actually a lot of fun. So let's just quickly take a look at the MES here. And this is the September contract. So check this out. Red PTF is coming up here. So that's the 15-second. That's saying after this move up, we may get a move down unless that changes. This is a channel. So you kind of don't want to do anything with that until you get a breakout. And this is saying it should eventually resolve itself to the upside. So a little bit of conflicting information from here to here. So you got to stand down. You can't trade this. You got to wait until things become in sync. So I would hold back on this for right now. All right. By the way, the PTF indicators on their perspective or respective time frames have a 75% accuracy rate. So you kind of want to pay attention to that. Let's take a look at the MNQ. It's another popular contract. That's the NASDAQ, of course. And this is the micros. Okay. If you want to trade the regular E-minis, you just type in NQ. All right. And this one here is kind of interesting. So on the NQ here, we not only have a red PTF here, we have it here. Okay. So that kind of leads me to believe that there's a stronger impetus down than up. So I kind of would shy away from a long trade, maybe even on the MES until that resolves. Okay. So there you have that. Okay. So if anything, maybe looking for a short trade if I get the opportunity to do so on this. The other fun thing you can do is, in addition, you know, in terms of technical analysis, we can run these things down kind of like this and see where the pennants go. All right, this may be forming a new upper edge, but I think we got a little bit more upside here. Okay, but we can't go long because technically we don't have the PTFs in alignment, so we got to stand down on that. Okay, so that's kind of it. So I don't see too much going on here right now. You'd have to wait this one out. All right, so any questions? I guess we'll call it quits for today. Boy, I can't believe we've been on it for an hour already. Great. All right, so good job today. So the big one today is CVE from Kevin, and then PLUG from Key today. All right, so there you have it. All right, so I'll just let this thing run a little bit. You guys can check out what happens on these, but I don't see a trade here yet. If anything, maybe if this tops one more time and we still have the red PTFs, then we're looking at probably something like a short trade. But you got to wait for the owl histograms to roll over to the short side. What I find interesting here is that we are starting to see bearish divergence. Possible one more top before it slides down is possible. So we kind of want to make sure that we have a red here and a red here, and then put the, you know, if we do take that position to the short side, stop way up here. That way, the only way we're stopped out is if it makes a new high and we're absolutely wrong on getting a new low before then. So that's kind of how I would play that. And the momentum is starting to come down a little bit. So we'll see how that plays out. So I'll just let this go here, and you guys have a great weekend. Okay. Thanks so much for being here. Oh, and don't forget, as Gene says, like us. Apparently that helps our standing with the YouTube. And the more people we get here, the better it is for all of us, because that's the way we can uncover and look at more stocks. You know, finding the best stocks is kind of like finding a needle in the haystack. There's, you know, over 10,000 of these things and growing every year. And you need to really look at and find the best ones. That's the key to success in this. And then, of course, use very strict risk control. So if everybody brings 2 or 3 to our Friday sessions, then there's a good chance we'll find 1 or 2. So the more people we get here, the better. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll just let this thing ride out. I'll cut the cam off. But if I see anything, I'll come on and say, I'll let it run for about 10 minutes or so. Notice we just got a red owl here on the 60-minute over there on the far left-hand side. So maybe we're getting some type of situation where things are rolling over. We'll certainly see. All right. Have a good one, and see you next week. Okay, just a quick little update here. So we've got some pyramids forming on the 15-second chart over here. This is an unconfirmed bullish one forming, but it will get voided out if prices go below that. Now, if this goes red, okay, there it just got voided out. So it just disappeared. So if this goes red, you could take a scalp trade to the short side, and I would put your stop here. If you really want to increase your trade size, you can put it here, but that's a little bit more of a riskier trade. So that's the way that's setting up right now. So this would be nothing more than a scalp trade based off this one indicator. And of course, the confirmation to that would be a red owl. Now, once the owl turns red, that's a possible entry signal if you don't have a pyramid, because it's a scalp trade. And then the idea behind that is you would have your stop up here, and then it doesn't matter the color of the owl anymore. Okay, there's your entry. All right, so if you wanted to go short here, you could do it. Then you have two places for the stop. More risky here, better here. Larger trade size, if you put your stop at 0.1, less of a trade size at 0.2. Okay, so that's kind of the update on that. Red, 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 red. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. This trade so far is moving in the right direction, but that gives you an idea of kind of the analysis we do. And this is a scalp trade, a little bit more of a riskier trade than a trend trade, but also too we're going against the 5-minute chart a little bit on the owl, so it's a little bit more risky, but the PTFs are pretty accurate, so this should actually turn out pretty good, provided our stops are placed high enough, either at 1 or 2 preferably. All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.